All right, this third type of factoring is the same as the previous two. It is, we're going to turn it into four terms, and then we're going to use GCS. So it's just building, it's just adding one step onto the previous ones. A trinomial, if a grouping needed four terms, trinomial is something that only has three terms. So that's why we need to add a step to do grouping. So when you're factoring a trinomial, we've got some steps to follow. The first step says multiply the first number and the last number. This is going to be our product. And if you'll remember, product is a fancy math word that just means the answer when you multiply. So product is a hint that we're multiplying something. Then we're going to figure out what the middle number is. This is going to be our sum. And as a reminder, sum is a hint that you add things together. Okay, now Desmos is going to be our best friend here. The third step says puts your numbers into Desmos. Your product goes in as x times y equals whatever that number is. Your sum goes in as x plus y equals whatever that number is. And remember, product came from multiplying, so that's why we're multiplying. Sum came from addition, and that's why we're adding. Step 4 says rewrite your equation. The first and the last terms don't change, but we now split the middle term into the numbers you found off Desmos. I'll tell you what that means in just a second. And then step 5 says you now have four terms. That means you factor by grouping. And I put in my notes GCF of each pair to remind myself so I didn't have to keep flipping the page. So let's talk about what the heck that means, because I just threw a lot of stuff at you. So firstly, this first example is a trinomial. There are only three terms to it, so I cannot do grouping. Step 1 says figure out what the first and last numbers are and multiply them together. The first number in front of x squared is a 1. The last number is -6. So 1 times -6 gives me a product, or x times y equals -6. 1 times -6 gave me -6. The sum for step 2 says locate the middle number. The middle number is a positive 1. So that's going to be x plus y equals 1. All right, these guys have to go in Desmos now. I've already got Desmos up here. I forgot to put my multiplication symbol. Shift 8 for that little star right there. So I've already got x times y equals -6, and x plus y equals 1. And you can see that this is kind of funky. Now, if you'll remember when we did evaluating functions in chapter 2, that when I type stuff into Desmos like this, I am looking for where they cross. You'll see 99% of the time there are two crossing points. You can choose either one you want. It does not matter. I always like to choose the one that has the negative first because it's the one on the left. So that's what I'm going to do. These guys cross at -2, 3. All right, so that was step 3 done. Step 4 says rewrite the equation. So the first and last terms don't change. So I'm still going to start with 1x squared. I'm still going to finish with -6. But the middle term is going to be split. So instead of plus 1x, I don't want plus 1x anymore. I want, from here, I want -2x and then a positive 3x. So I took this guy and I split him. He has an x, so these guys both have an x. And then these numbers came off of where they cross on Desmos. All right, and that's it. That is the new part that we did. Now I have four terms, 1, 2, 3, 4, which means I'm going to factor by grouping. So I'm going to split it down the middle. I'm going to find the GCF of each pair. And I'm going to factor. Out of the first pair, 1 and 2, they're both divisible by 1. They both have an x, so divide by 1x, divide by 1x. That's going to give me x minus 2, or 1x minus 2. If you like writing your ones, that's fine. Out of the second pair, positive 3 and negative 6, they're both divisible by 3. Positive 3 because the guy in front was positive. So divide by 3, divide by 3. This is going to give me x. This is going to give me negative 2. My GCF is 3, positive. These guys go into one parenthesis. There are my GCFs. And these guys that match go into 1. And that's it. There's my answer. It feels very long, but it's not that much more. It's really only one extra step off of grouping, and that's only one extra step off of GCFs. All right, so let's talk about this second one then. So first step, if I look back up at here, my step 1 says multiply the first number and the last number. This one's easy. It tells us all our numbers. 2 times positive 10 says that my product is 20 because 2 times 10 is 20. My sum is the middle number, and in this case, the sum is negative 9. So x plus y equals negative 9. Those guys into Desmos. So a lot of times when I'm doing this, I will just leave this up so that I can say x times y equals 20. My product is 20. My sum is negative 9. And if I look for where they cross in 2 places here. Again, it does not matter which one you choose. Just pick one. I'm going to choose that guy. So negative 5, negative 4. All right. And then step 4 says I am going to rewrite my equation. The first term and the last term does not change. So I'm still going to start with 2x squared. I'm still going to finish with plus 10. But this middle term right here, I now want to split it. And I'm going to use these two numbers to do it. So I'm going to have minus 5x, because this guy had an x. And then I'm going to have a minus 4x. So I took that middle term and I split it in 2. And then now that I have 4 terms, I can do grouping. So let me get my black, split it down the middle. I need the GCF of the first pair. I need the GCF of the second pair. Between these two guys, 2 and 5, that's just 1. You don't have to put a 1 if you don't want to. X squared and x, they both have an x. Between these two guys, notice that the first number is negative, so my GCF will be negative. 4 and 10 are both divisible by 2. They don't both have an x, so I can't do anything there. So divide by 1x, divide by 1x. This gives me 2x. This gives me minus 5. Put my GCF out front. Here, divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. Negative divided by a negative is a positive 2x. And a positive divided by a negative gives me a negative 5 with my GCF out front. Double check that your parentheses match. If your parentheses don't match, something has gone wrong. My GCFs go into one parenthesis, and my matching answer goes into the second. And that's it. Once you get into the groove of these, they start going really quickly because Desmos does the bulk of the work for you.